What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate business into a life of freedom. We have a killer guest with us today. We're talking about how he went from long-haul trucker to a top-producing agent and team leader, and now even an ISA company owner, as well as running a top team in his area. So we've got a bunch of stuff to dive into. We've got Al Stasek here with us. Before we bring Al in, of course, I have the junior grandmaster himself in the co-pilot seat where he so belongs, back in his box, Greg McDaniel. Greg, what's up today?
Matt Johnson. Oh, my God, dude. I swear to God, I say this all the time. Our pre-shows are sometimes my favorite part of my show because Al and I were laughing about multiple different funny stories. You know, Matt, you told us that you know what it feels like to shut your own hair in your car door, which I find absolutely hilarious because all of you guys who don't know in Matt's past, he was like a full-on musician, and everything else. But, I just love talking with people off here because we get to know the real people, and it's freaking hilarious. But I got to tell you a story. If you guys ever feel like you're having a bad day and you feel stupid about something, let me share with you what I did the other day, which I didn't realize for an hour and a half. So I was at my broker's tour. I was filling in for Chris. He had to go to some meeting. So I show up to the broker's tour. I'm kind of bebopping around through it, talking to guys and gals as they come through. As I lock up the door to leave, I look down to put the key in the lockbox, and I have realized my zipper has been down the entire time. I wondered why there were so many strange looks I was getting. I didn't get it.
So no one was polite enough to tell you.
I know. What the heck, man? I mean, you could at least said your barn door's open, buddy. Or are you afraid of heights? Or little McDaniel's it's going to come out in the playground. I mean, any of those comments would have been like, oh, gotta go.
Oh, man. Well, at least it wasn't a crowd of realtors that you were speaking in front of, like the last time you left your fly down.
I think it was San Diego, wasn't it?
It might have been. Yeah, we're speaking in a couple weeks at San Diego Realtors Expo, and we're going to try not to repeat the command performance that Greg gave last time when his fly was down. So let's see.
The problem with San Diego and that happening is it's too warm. Up here in Cleveland, the weather will let you know. You just feel this very quick cold and all of a sudden shrinkage. And you know immediately something's wrong.
That's right. That's right. California gives you nothing. It's all just the same temperature.
Oh my
all right.
God.
So first of all, Al, officially welcome. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Greg. Matt, thanks for having me.
Dude.
Excited.
So we're psyched to talk to you.
Love your show. Love your show, by the way.
I appreciate
Thanks,
that.
man.
Yeah. So I reached out. We had a good friend of yours, Jay Kinder, on the show here a couple weeks ago. You've been doing a ton of Facebook Lives with Jay, and you guys have been friends for quite a while. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit just about kind of what your team looks like right now, where you're at, so people kind of have a sense of not only physically where you're at so they can keep you in mind for referrals, but what your team looks like.
Yeah, sure. We started out as a RE/MAX team in 2007. I've been licensed since 98, actually. I spent the first 8 years doing it all wrong, and maybe even a couple years after that, right into the downturn there. Met Jay and Mike in 2010 when I hired their firm to coach me to figure out how to do the right things in the right order. So I would stop spinning my wheels, and so started just growing from there, having fun, making great relationships with everyone around the country from NAEA. Ended up becoming one of their coaches, and then through the mastermind and everything, just became really good friends with Mike and Jay, and they just had a really great group. And the mastermind was really the nucleus of where all that came from. I mean, that's where Brett Jennings and Jeff Cook, Sean O'Neill, a lot of the Carlos. Darn it. Can't think of Carlos's. Carlos is going to kill me for not remembering his last name now. I'm just trying to reel off, big names. I know lots of big people. Let's just leave it at that. But no, anyways, that's kind of where, that relationship started, and it started from a coaching relationship, and then just came into, us really trying to, Jay would always say, we know there's a better way, and we were always in search of that better way. In order to identify the better way, we had to identify the issues or bottlenecks in our business models and just be real, which is what we would do when we would all get together, and then just try and solve for those. So that's kind of what brought us here.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some of the other problems, but I wanted to dive into something that a lot of people are struggling with, thinking about, maybe diving into and failing at a lot of times, which is hiring ISAs or internal inside sales agents. So in other words, somebody make calls for them. So I'm curious, Al, when you dived in and hired your first person, because now you're at the point where you have a whole team of them and you actually train people on how to do this and even for them to an extent. But was like the first ISA did you hire, was it a massive mistake, or did you get it right the first time unintentionally? Like, how did that first experience go?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I was literally just talking about this yesterday with Matt, who's my partner in appointments today, and we were just kind of dissecting that very thing, like what had all happened. Well, when I saw Jay Kinder's first video, because somehow I got on their list and I was getting these emails from this guy from Oklahoma with an accent. I'm like, well, what's this guy talking about for sale by owners? But here's the thing. The first video I saw was about FSBOs. I took exactly what he said, went out and did it, and I listed like 3. And I'm like, wow, this stuff works. So then the next video that I saw, which was I think 2 or 3 weeks later, it was about how his inside salesperson set 72 listing appointments in 1 month. And I'm like, okay, that's a great headline. I mean, these guys you guys know, they're marketers. They're some of the best marketers I know. And that hooked me. So I watched that, and it was about how to hire an inside sales. It wasn't about how to hire an inside sales. It's just why an inside sales associate could help boost your business and blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I went right on to Craigslist, ran an ad, hired a girl. She was working from home, setting appointments. I got her, she was working for like a mortgage company, literally cold calling people, getting their social security numbers over the phone. So I'm like, if you can do that, then you can get me in the door of a for sale by owner and expired. And it ended up being true. She was so good. I got lucky and unlucky out of the gate. Lucky because she was so good at what she did. I started listing houses like crazy. I was like, man, I just hit the gold mine. The bad news was she was not a core value fit.
Yeah.
So eventually that started taking a toll on, the rest of my team. And so that goes to some of the challenges. It is not easy to make that inside sales hire. Mm-hmm. And, I've hired to many, many different positions. And if I had to pick one that's probably the most difficult that I've seen most people struggle with, it's that position. So, yeah, I had to do it wrong a bunch of times before we got it right.
So why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to hire an ISA? Because going from a long haul trucker to a top real estate agent, those are 2 totally different things. I would think that you would know the little bit about the world and like what you're looking for in the ISA. So it's not you not knowing what you're looking for, it's the people not delivering on what they say they can do? Is it they get greedy and they want to be their own agent? Where's the difficulty in this?
I think that there's several different, there's 2 points that I think people, and they either get one right or the other wrong, or they get them both wrong. It could happen either one. The first one is in the hire. They look, the people who are successful in this business, we're busy 7 days a week. We could literally work 14, 15 hours a day if we allowed ourselves in our schedule to do it. We all know we could do it. The phone doesn't stop ringing. Now there's texting, everything going on. Even with technology, it's just allowing us to handle more at once. So you certainly don't have time, because time is money. And if your time is best spent face-to-face with sellers, you literally have to block the time out to spend the time interviewing. We take the approach of doing a group interview. If you have the luxury of doing that, if you're hiring virtually, then you could do it over Blue Jeans or Skype or something like this. But this is the way we've seen the most success, when we've taken our time up front to hire the right person up front, giving them a test. We do not a disc test, but it's a test that basically says, do you have the chops to even be in sales or not? Or are you more of an administrative person? And Matt can tell you the name. In fact, I'll holler over there. They're right next door over here, of the name of that test. But it literally tells them, okay, this guy's got the chops, or this lady, she's got the chops to actually convert a sale over the phone, handle an objection, or not. So we just, I think what people make is they maybe make a connection, or someone refers them somebody who they like. They're sitting across from them, and because I don't want to call it laziness, but let's just call it, for lack of a better, like, efficiency. You just hire them. Oh, I think we could work well together because, hey, look, we like each other. Next thing you know, so there's a bad hire in place, potentially. The second thing is the management, training, accountability, coaching that they're all going to require. So even if you find someone let's say you make the right hire, they're the right people. If you're a busy real estate agent, busy listing, doing stuff, you don't have time to listen to every phone call for the first 2 or 3 weeks while you're ramping them up and training them. It's just hard to do if you're going to do it right. Or you can get lucky like I did. And I got someone out of Quicken Loans who was just disenchanted with that whole, company, but they went through an amazing inside sales training. I got them, and they were self-starters, and I got lucky with Matt Milia, who now is my partner and runs appointments today. So those were the two things that I think that people struggle with in hiring to the position.
Yeah, I think that we've gone through a lot of different ISAs in our careers, and a lot of them have been letdowns. Let's put it that way. I hired out of country, and then nothing to be said about any other races or cultures or anything else. But Americans are, we're taught that if we hear an accent, that means sales, and so. Unfortunately, she was an amazing person, but it just wasn't a good fit. Matt, are you truly not paying attention to me and playing another podcast while we're on our own podcast?
No, I think that's Al jumping on to monitor the
No, I wanted to see Matt Milius. It's the Sales Achievement Predictability Score through Hire Select. That's what it was. Sorry.
Very cool. Okay, cool.
Very cool.
That was like a variation of the disc or something. But yeah, awesome.
So the one thing is that what we have found that I have had the most success with people in country for ISAs, and I have a girl. Her name is Veronica. She's actually might be watching the show at some point, but she's out of Texas. She's an exceptional ISA, and I've incentivized her to a point where I'm going to pay her a 25% referral fee for everything that we close. So it's a much higher bar that she's getting paid at. But I'm expecting a higher level of results, and I'm willing to pay for that. Do you find that any correlation with the ISAs that you're paying, or do you set them up on a different schedule? How does paying one work in case we find a good one?
I have seen different models for compensation work. Here's what I know. When you have a very low budget, the best way to pay is on a commission basis. Pay when the money comes in. The problem with that, even if you find someone that's talented, is there's a period of time, and it could be anywhere from 60 to 90 days from their start date before anything from their efforts actually drops into your bank account so that you can share. Now that, if you find that unique person that can do that, I think that can be a great win-win. Ultimately, I think that I saw the best results out of people that have a salary that is reasonable, that they can, that they're not feeling that pressure like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to make my rent payment and whatnot. Get them to that point, but they have to be ambitious enough to want to grow and do better as far as that bonus that's concerned if they were to hit X amount of numbers. So there's going to be an expectation that they hit, and that's what I found. I know that I've heard of people paying their ISAs like $1,000 a month plus a bigger bonus. I have tinkered with that a little bit, even with some really, really good ISAs. And they prefer, what we found is that they would prefer a little bit more of a higher base and a lower bonus. But that's just what I've I think we've hired probably over 200-300 ISAs at one point. Wow. But understand that this was for a business model that provided those. And that's what we do for real estate agents. And so it is a different model. We did start out using overseas. We do not. We use Americans. And, even if they're American, some of them live in Costa Rica. So if you want to call that overseas, but they're expats. So we kind of found that that's our key. We pay more per hour, but we get a better quality. We get better results. We get more appointments ultimately. And that's the game.
Yep. That's all that matters is getting the appointments, right. And then you doing the follow-up. And then one of the big important things is that I had a guy out in the Midwest. He was doing calls for me, Chuck, super awesome dude. And he set 2 appointments for me that ultimately turned into something. And a year and a half after he stopped working with me, I tracked him down and paid him his referral fee, because it took that long for it to go through. Yeah. But it's true. It takes a long time sometimes for them to make the call, to get the appointment, and then for that client be ready to do something. You just have to be ready for that long burn. But
Right.
sometimes people do it right away, but most of the people, I mean, I'm going to defer to you, Al. Most times it's not going to happen like that. So when you hire an ISA, they look at you and they're like, dude, Al's crushing it in business. He must have got business right off the bat. I mean, are you seeing it right off the bat more often or more long burn?
What do you mean for me?
Yeah, for when you have your ISAs and everything else. Do you see more right off the bat instant gratification or more long burn, get it in 3, 6, 12, 18 months?
No, I mean there's going to be a ramp up even with your best people. There's going to be a
Right.
ramp up period because it's just like anything else. It's like building a pipeline. It's the same reason why you don't run a newspaper ad one time for a 1 month and determine, oh yeah, this worked or it didn't work based off of one run. No, it's a consistent. You don't run in radio for a month and stop.
Right.
You plan on, I mean, you budget to burn through 12 months, and I'm not saying you're not going to see a return on that. It's a cash conversion cycle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with an ISA who's well trained up front, and this is the key, that was the second part of the two problem thing that people have. It's that initial training, coaching, and literally hand-holding through and listening to calls with them, and we call it a positive coach approach. We didn't invent that. You can actually look it up. It is for training inside sales types of people. And, because it can be a thankless job. Let's face it. If you're on the phone for 8 to 10 hours a day, it could drive you nuts. And so we just try to make it fun. We're not trying to make it, holding them accountable to their numbers in a militant type of way. We try to make it more fun and more of a positive coaching environment. And again, that stuff we had to learn the hard way too, but I forget your question. It just gone. I don't know. I don't even know. Were we talking about tattoos?
Yes, we were.
It was tattoos, yeah.
Roswell's tattoo store, yes.
That's right. Now, you answered the question because it's mostly, I mean, you'll get some short-term immediate gratification stuff, but mostly it's long burn, just like farming. I mean, it's kind of it's using a person to farm as opposed to let's say a direct mail, but it's very, very similar. Have you seen, does it make a difference? Maybe that's a better way to phrase it. Does it make a difference if the person hiring the ISA has successfully, and I mean like mastered the types of calls they're hiring somebody else to do? Is that necessary? Is it necessary just to be familiar with the types of calls that you're hiring them to do, enough that you can coach them on phrasing and scripting, or is it really better if you've already mastered it and internalized the skill set yourself before hiring someone to do it?
It's a really good question. I mean, I happen to, I worked as I told you my background was the truck driving, long haul truck driving. But between the time of when I quit that and the time that I actually went full time, I worked as a collector at Chase Manhattan Mortgage. I was collecting on delinquent mobile home mortgages in Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi.
So how many guns did you carry? Not if you carried a gun.
No, I was all by phone. It was all by phone. I was safe up here in Cleveland, Ohio. But what I'm saying is I learned my phone skills of, you can call it persuasion or whatever. I had to persuade them to pay their mortgage basically, or we were going to come and hook their thing up. But I mean, I think that if you actually didn't actually do it, I think it's darn right impossible to teach someone else how to do something that you don't know how to do. The other alternative to that is to pay someone else to do it that does know how to do it, and that's kind of what we've transformed into with appointments today. It's tough, and it's not sexy. It's not. I mean, but you do see some of the top agents that keep their businesses nice and tight and small, and they're listing maniacs. They're on the phone 3 hours a day. They're hitting it. That's the muscle they've built. But you don't see a whole lot of those folks. I'll tip my hat to them. I did that for a while, and then I was just like, okay, enough of this. I just want to be face-to-face with sellers. I knew that was my favorite part. I could do that job. I just didn't want to. It was just, I just didn't, that wasn't strapping the headset on. I was done. And I wanted to scale my business so that I was just face-to-face with sellers, and I wanted to try and get rid of everything else.
Well, and Michael Higdon out of Louisville, I believe, is watching and just has a question on whether it's best to train your ISAs or outsource a training company. And Al, you solved that. You've done it both. I mean, you've essentially done it yourself, and now you have a training company specifically for that reason, because for the most part, it's not best for them to be training the ISA themselves. I know you've got something coming up. So tell people just briefly, I don't know if you have open registration yet for the webinar you guys are doing, but I know you're doing something about learning more about how to train your ISA.
Yeah, we don't even have any registration for it yet. This came out of demand. When we started the company, our goal was to do a done-for-you ISA solution because of all the reasons that we just spent half of our webinar here talking about, because there was a need. What I'm finding now is a lot of people are getting successful and getting their hires, or they feel, and there's nothing wrong with this. I have a couple of ISAs here in my office right here in Cleveland, 2 offices down from me, so I get it, that the virtual thing, even if they are here in the States, doesn't work well for everyone. Someone wants that person there, so they're making hires. The problem comes into that second half of the problem because they're out face-to-face, they're on calls, they don't have the time to spend and teach them the skills and make sure that they're doing the reps and making sure that there's that positive coaching thing to get them ramped up to success as fast as possible. And we can do it in a couple of weeks, but so we've kind of just opened a different service, if you will. And again, we just started doing it for some of our other clients who were using us and they had their own ISA. They were doing both. We started coaching their other ISA, and they were loving it. It was because we were already coaching our own ISAs. We do that already. So we just duplicated that, and we started, it's called Lock School. What does LOCK stand for? That was fancy for lead opportunity close. The guys came up with that, the leadership at appointments today. But Lock School is just, it's basically it's a half an hour. No, I'm sorry, it's an hour a week. 1 hour a week. It's a group coaching. We cap it off at 10 ISAs, and we make it fun. It's interactive. We hold accountability. We do amazing training, and it's a safe environment. It's not, where they're tossed into a group of like hundreds of people, and there's people that clam up and don't want to role play. Like, this is a nice tight. They'll be able to get one-on-one time if need be on a case-by-case basis, but it's just a way we're going to be able to deliver value to people that, maybe they did make that successful hire. They got part 1 right. Now they need that part 2. Like, they don't have time to like coach them and train them and hold them accountable. We're kind of doing that, and we're doing it for under $400 a month. It's like It's literally a no-brainer. At the price point. So.
And Matt Melia, your partner, corrects us. Lead opportunity closer.
Oh, sorry, Matt.
He's like, get it right, Al. You're in public stage right now.
Whatever.
All right, so let's transition. Let's talk about the.
Hold on. I want to be clear. So it's $400 because I want to. It's $400. I give you the leads. You call. I get appointments. Is that what I'm understanding?
No. The Lock School is for. It's basically
for the ISA.
We'll coach your ISA.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll coach them every week for an hour. They get a session with us. They get a session with my top leaders, and scripts, dialogues. We have an entire curriculum that we go over, and we plug them right in.
Wow.
We already have our first class filling up. We cap it at 10. Then we'll do another one, and then once we get we get a good rhythm in it, we'll probably separate. We call them our ringers. A ringer is a badass ISA, and
nice.
If you know one when you got one. I mean, they just separate from the. There's ISAs who are good. They can set appointments. You know what I mean? Then you got your upper echelon guys. So we'll probably have a class just for those guys that are really killing it, or and then occasionally mix those guys in so that they can learn from the best.
Sounds like they need to start coaching. Yeah.
So
that's like your next generation of coaches.
That could be it, but then that's like taking your best salesperson out of the, out of the arena.
No.
The cool thing with this is it's only an hour a week that they would have to be, so they would actually be able to do both. So you're correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like the Navy SEALs of ISAs. You're like that's pretty badass.
Those are our ringers, and we got a good bus load of those ringers that we.
You've got to get like a version of the trident for them to wear on their lapel as like they have the ISA trident.
I think they should just get a tattoo.
Yeah, I was just going to say that out. Like, based on our pre-show conversation, screw the lapel. You just get the twitchy guy that's in the zone. Just go right in, get them trident. Okay.
Inside jokes.
Yeah,
That's right.
Anyone that's interested
Sorry,
in lock
audience.
school, yeah, you guys just put something in the comments and
Yeah,
you know,
we have had requests. Is there a link in there or anything? Matt, if you're
Reach
still
out to
here,
Al
post
for
a link in
sure.
there.
And then
Yeah.
Matt,
Put
reach
something
out
in
to
there.
those guys on Facebook. Sounds like that's the best option for now, guys, right?
that is the best. Thank you.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit of give me the rundown just real quick on the structure of your team, Al.
Yeah, you know, I've stepped out of production from, I believe it officially was like 2000. Well, the real story was, you know, there was an attempt to
Right.
step out in
It was a false
2000.
start.
Yeah, it was like 2014. Almost went broke, jumped back in, tried to fix the model, tweak it, jumped out, almost went broke again. But, you know, during that time, we're growing. And so, you know, I was comprised of about 4 listing agents, and we're about that right now. We've rebuilt back up to that. Last year, we lost 2 key people on the team who were listing agents. They got together, did their own team, so to speak, which is one of the reasons for our transitions. No, I mean, you know what? It's isn't that what we would do? You know, I mean, that is the progression. That is exactly right. Yeah. So I mean, and that's I mean, I know this is going to lead into some EXP questions, but really that's why I closed my brokerage after literally busting my ass and investing. I went all in growing my real estate business from a Remax team to a independent brokerage, and went, you know, and decided, you know what, I'm closing doors on this and I'm going all in with EXP because it was the business model that solved these problems. So, you know, my team's comprised of, it started out girls, you know, that had started their own team. I think that was like last May. It was actually one month ago this week, or 1 year ago this week. And I saw the EXP model the following June. And so I was down about 9 agents, and we're up to about 15, 16 right now. So the team, you know, shrunk from, you know, like 12 to 9 back up to 15, 16. I'm thinking with who we have in the pipeline, we'll be somewhere right around 20, 24 agents. And that scares the hell out of me a little bit because I've really never had a team, you know, with that many agents, you know. But we've changed our business model around to, you know, leaders leading leaders. So I'm not in this all alone. I have a great, solid group of leaders, a couple joining. That's that end piece there that are amazing leaders, and that's who I want to work with, man. I want to work with leaders. That's what makes me happy. That's what gets me out of bed happy. Yeah. And you know, I was just telling this agent on my way back to my office from my morning appointment that there were times when I was growing my business, even with Remax, but even after Remax, where I wasn't waking up super happy. You know, from the outside, your business is doing $1 million, $1.5 million in revenue. From the outside, it looks great, but you don't know everything that's happening in the back end. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Stroking a monthly check, you see those expenses going up from $30,000 to $40,000 to $60,000 a month, and that's the real story. You know, behind what you see on the fake. You know, 300 transactions a year ain't crap if you ain't making any money. And so, you know, I don't care. Like, I see, you guys know it, I know it, but to everyone else, they see, oh, look they got the award for the 100 million or whatever. You know, let me see the P&L. That's my question, is because I know what it takes. I know that climb and how painful it can be if you have the wrong business model. So, anyways, I digress. Next question.
We're actually, one of our guys actually watching right now, Mike Petrie, says he's been driving for 22 years, just got his Ohio real estate license, can't wait to listen to the whole show. So first of all, Mike, welcome to the business. Awesome.
By the way, thank you, Mike, for driving. We owe a lot to our truck drivers out there. They make this world go around, you know, whether you know it or not.
So Al, let's talk a little bit about the whole, you know, let's get into the kind of the EXP conversation and your team, and because you're not the only indie broker that's gone through this, where you look at that and you're like, holy cow, like, why don't I just switch over? And I know there's a lot of guys out there, guys and gals, that own their own brokerages. I mean, Mary Simmons here in San Diego was one of them. Kyle Whistle was another. Yeah. And I've talked to both of them on this show and other shows and stuff like that, and they both kind of had that same aha moment, which is that, holy crap, why am I doing all this behind the scenes work when I can get 99% of the benefits and not have to deal with all this work that I'm doing? So I wanted to point out just what I thought the three kinds of reasons people join teams, and let's talk about how that all fits in and why you switched over. So the three things that I hear the most, and this is, coming from guys like Jeff Cohn, who's recruited, almost 50 agents to his team and a bunch of other folks. So mentorship, leads, and then back-end support. So that's a combination of like transaction management, as well as marketing support, sign runner, just all the perks, the benefits of going to a team, right? So that's why people join like physical teams.
Right.
But I think when we talk about EXP, part of the reason why we get all these benefits and all this stuff is because we're virtual. We don't have to show up to an office, which some agents miss. They love the culture of their office, and that's fine, and they should keep doing that. But for those that don't care and they're going to stay at home anyway, why wouldn't you switch? And I'm curious just how, like, when you look at the EXP opportunity and you know exactly why people join the teams, what did you see? Like, what did the opportunity match up with, like leads and mentorship and support? What were the things that jumped out to you that you knew, okay, that's going to make my job as a team leader easier to provide these things?
So I think until you go off and if were you guys independent before you were
Greg was like a boutique.
No, just a regional brokerage.
Yeah,
Okay.
we looked at two things. We looked at EXP and we looked at KW hard for about a year before we switched to EXP.
Cool. So it's there's a couple components to this team. What I think you were saying is, what is the value proposition as to why someone would want to join a team? And you mentioned a couple of the components, like the admin part, the mentor or coaching, which I think is probably one of the biggest, because it's hard. Like, if you want to go stroke a coach for stroke a check for one-on-one coaching, I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it doesn't pay off. It's the best investment I've ever made, frankly. But to get started and to have that extra 13, it's a house payment for some people to just get started. And so and you can get that and leverage it with your commission, and that's the value proposition. And of course, then there's the leads, especially when you're a new agent. Filling your pipeline fast is difficult. Even if you have a great sphere of influence and whatnot. It's tough. So I believe for the agent who wants to grow and grow more profitably, if you got the chops for sales, you can literally plug and play into a team and go. And so, and some people just prefer to do that. There's nothing wrong with, because if you don't want to run a giant P&L and try to balance $50,000, $60,000 in, payroll expense and all the things that come with that, and you just want to go out and grow your practice, you can make a lot of money, and there's a lot less stress, I should say, with that, not having to try and balance all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But your question was, like, what was the difference between what we were doing and why, with the EXP is that
running a successful team, especially like a successful indie broker, why would
Yeah.
you switch? Because you already had all the infrastructure set up. Like, most people make that decision and they stare down the barrel of going independent. They're like,
Yeah.
well, that sounds like a lot of, but you already went through the work, so you already had it set up. So why did you close shop?
I think that the biggest thing is having an awareness and clarity of what your business model is and what it isn't. So when you start as a team leader, your number one goal, if you're doing it the way I've done it at least, is that, go out and list as many houses as possible, create, a lot of leads coming in because of those listings, and then have a few agents that are trying to grow their business, and then you could in turn give them some of the extra business you have because you can't be in a million places at once. I think that's kind of how it starts. By the way, great business model if you plan on staying in that listing seat, for a period of time. If you make the decision to go bigger with your team, and when I say bigger, anything more than 3-4 agents, is now you're starting to scale this team. You now have a brokerage within a brokerage, so to speak. You are a rainmaker, and that's not a new term. It's been getting thrown around for 10 some years. But what you also have, whether you want to admit it or not, is you have a recruiting model. And I hated recruiting, personally. I didn't like it. I was always heavily recruited. I just wanted to sell houses, but my mental model was just slightly off. I didn't have the confidence. That was probably the other thing. And because I was approached by people and I didn't like how I was approached in those situations on, recruiting, like my favorite line, my most unfavorite line is, so when are you coming to our company? Like, you're an idiot for wherever you're at. Like, I got hit with that shit all the time. And I'm like, well, now, if there was any possibility of me even considering it, you just flushed it down the toilet. Great job. Congratulations. And what happened, and so people just didn't know how to recruit. I felt like the right way, and that kind of shunned me from thinking, well, I don't ever want to do that. That was just me. And so that was my mental model. But whether I liked it or not, I had a recruiting model, and I was terrible at it. So when I left RE/MAX, I had like 9 agents. No, I didn't. I had 7 agents. When I went independent, I ended with 12-ish agents. So by no means did that make me the recruiting king of Cleveland.
Right.
You know, it was literally just through relationships, you know, that I brought people aboard. And you know, it's kind of like referrals in real estate. You can make a living from it, but it's kind of tough to really grow your business predictably without a system in place. And so what I think for me, the bottleneck for me was my business model. It was not attracting people, where there were people literally knocking on my door asking me about what does my opportunity look like to join my company. It was not happening. It was if I had a relationship with them, maybe it would happen. So there wasn't a proven, repeatable system that we had in place for bringing on new talent, and you know, so that we can help people grow their business. The other part about it was the retention. Once you're successful with somebody, you bring them aboard and say, I can make your, you know, I can help you grow your business. You know, just trust me, hold my hand, let's do this. Let's just say you're successful and you get them up to 40, 50, 60 transactions. What do you think they do right around that 55, 60 transactions?
Adios, muchacho.
They get out their calculator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting this boy rich. You know, and then it's time for that sit down or whatever. Or, you know, and I think that the reason, this is assuming that you have good leadership and you're a good person and you treat people right. If you're an asshole, they're going to leave for that reason. But assuming you're a good person, why do you lose them? Is it because you're a bad leader? Most of the time, if you're a good leader and you truly care about people, because your business model isn't set up for a retention and it's not set up to attract people. And I think that was like for me, I was trying to fix those 2 things in my model for 2 years with Jay Kinder and Mike Reese. And then I saw the EXP model. Thankfully, Cliff Freeman, my first real estate coach ever, kept literally bugging me. He's like, did you watch it yet? Did you watch the webinar? Did you see the model? And I just kept I was blowing him off for a very long time. And finally, he was like, Al, would you just tell me if I'm crazy? I'm like, I could tell a dude if he's crazy. So, all right, I'll watch it. And I finally saw the same thing you guys saw.
Right. Like, oh, I'm going to watch it just to prove that he's crazy. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, to me, you mentioned the mentorship piece kind of being the biggest thing and how the business model really affects that. Here's what I see as the genius of this whole thing, and this is what really kind of sealed it for me and Greg, which is that the model that's in place incentivizes and it makes sure that the incentives are lined up for the people that bring other agents into the business to make sure that they succeed, like genuinely succeed, and not just to the point where they bring us, you know, a few deals. It's not the broker model where if you come in, you can fog a mirror, we'll accept you because you'll do a couple of deals a year from friends and family, and you'll not make it. You'll fail out of the business in 2 years, but I'll make $2,000 or $5,000 off you this year before you fail. So this is not like a broker model. This is a model where, I mean, for the folks that come onto our team, the way that EXP is structured makes it worth it for us to contribute our time to them, like, as long as it's in a leveraged way. Now, we can't obviously individually coach everyone, but they're not stroking a check to us, right? They're not paying for something out of and in addition to their part of the commission. Because it's all taken out of the broker side of the commission, it's worth our time to coach them. It's worth us like spending more time, investing more resources to mentor them than it would be under pretty much any other model that I've seen out there. I mean, really the only other thing that's closest to it is just being on as close to 100% split as possible, and then just paying for coaching out of your own pocket. That's the only thing that comes close in terms of like getting the mentorship that you can get from the guys on the EXP side that are bringing folks onto into EXP in their system and offering coaching on top of that. Greg, what's your perspective on that?
Well, you and I sat down one day when we really started considering EXP. And you and I were sitting over at a bar in Danville, and we had a beer and some snacks, and we're like, all right, let's try to kill this thing. And we aggressively went after it, seeking the negativity on EXP. And we hunted it down. Man, we kept on coming up dry, coming up dry, coming up dry, coming up dry. We're like, this doesn't make fucking sense. There has to be the nasty underbelly somewhere. And as more that we searched, the more that we found there wasn't one. I mean, every company has flaws. Yes, I get it. But there's nothing glaring. And there's an opportunity for Michael and Jay and Al, and their team and our team with the products and content that we each independently have to add more value to people, to bring them up, because all tides raise all boats. And so we're able to bring other people up with the stuff we've already provided and make their lives a better opportunity on top of what EXP is doing already with, what Brad is, Anderson over there, who is the head trainer. He has 2 jobs: train every agent and help every agent cap. So he's vested in to getting everyone to be successful. Also, when it comes to the way their model is built, is that I have opened up my time calendar significantly to recruiting and for coaching and training, all of my agents, because I want to be able to put 50 people on each one of the people I bring on. I want to put at least 50 people on each one of their teams over the next 5 years or less, because then that makes their flywheel kick into action. They make more money. Their wife your wife or husband or kids or significant other can feel secure financially in case they have a bad month. They have additional revenue coming in. They're also able to get long-term revenue from the stocks that they purchase or are given, depending on how it's going to come to them. So financially, EXP solved a lot of problems that real estate agents have been fighting for a long period of time, because every one of us are only as good as our last deal. And on average, agents do only 6 deals a year at a $275,000 price point and a 2.5% commission. That's a good shoe habit money. That's not a good lifestyle money. And we get out of the business to be successful. And this allows us to be successful, but also bring other people up and be able to help them do it and connect them into tribes they may not have been connected to in the first place. So it as a new agent, if you were trying to make some income and you ultimately suck at recruiting, we can go over the numbers on stuff, but that's not a topic to be aired, because everyone individual is different. But you have the ability to make a significant amount of money, both on your real estate commissions right up front, okay, because you can go 100% pretty quickly, and then you have your passive, and then you have your stock. So you give it 5 years, guys, and your income will look worlds different of where you are today. And I think that
the exact same number of sales.
Even if you do the exact same number of sales, because you're going to be building a big line of people who are excited about making money themselves, who are going to bring people into your ecosystem. And the thing is, like we talked about, this is not an MLM traditional when it says like, hey, come on over to my house for dinner. I have a great opportunity for you. You just want to turn around, walk out the door, because you're like, I don't want to sell soap and sell real estate. I just want to sell fucking real estate.
I was just thinking of a basement of soap, right, when you just said that.
But I mean, that's why all of us have made that move. We looked at it business-wise, and we said, okay, this for a long-term business move. This is a company that's not going to go anywhere. It's a publicly traded company, so it's locked in. They're looking at trading on the NASDAQ as well, so they're stepping up, more visibility, and we have a controlling a share of this because we're all shareholders. We're owners of this company, so we can help guide where this thing is going to be going. I mean, it's just one of those things that for the lifestyle that a lot of people may want, because what if you want to go take 6 months off and go to Spain with your wife or your husband? What if you want to go move down to the islands and live in a hut on the water and do that? You can do it.
Most agents just want to take 6 days off. Like they can't take 6 days. I can tell you. I don't know about you guys, but I can't even take 6 days off at this point.
Oh, in a row? God, no.
I'm having too much fun right now. I'm gonna have to. The vacation's gonna have to wait. But
it is fun. We were talking off air about this. Doing the recruitment,
it
is fun to do this because you talk to the people and they're excited and you fill them in. What's going on? This is the opportunity for you, and this is what you get. And come join my tribe. You get them ramped up, and then they're ready to rock and roll and go crush it. And I love to train. That's one of the things I absolutely love to. I love to train new or beginning agents to get them to that next level. I like them to graduate them out of my training so they can go and fly on their own, because one of our good friends, Neely, she was a newer agent. I trained with her and worked with her, and dude, she crushes it in Detroit. I mean, absolutely crushes it. And that makes me the happiest guy on earth. So doing this, because I want to put 25,000 people on our EXP team over the next 5 years or less,
Yeah.
it's 25,000 lives that get to be positively affected. How
Get it.
cool is that, dude?
Awesome.
I mean,
you remind me of my friend Brent Gove.
that's a good thing, right?
That is a good thing.
Okay. I'm like,
Good thing. Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
One of the top recruiters in the country for EXP. Yeah, that guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Cool.
Well, he sent me a text just maybe 2 hours ago. 206 countries. Like whenever he sends me a text, it's always about how many countries we're going to be in. 2 million agents in 200 countries. I mean, he just makes me smile. He's an amazing human being. It's like some of the relationships. By the way, speaking of great guys, Jeff Willems, no, your Pacers are not going to take my Cavs down, but I still love you, and I appreciate all your help too, brother. Anyways, the vision, talk about thinking bigger. It's kind of a, what is it? Like it's a common saying everyone hears. It's kind of cliche. Like, you got to think bigger.
Yeah.
But it's so true when you're around other people that suck you up to thinking at different levels. And that is, Brent Gove is one of those human beings. I've been, with Mike and Jay, the reason I met him was because Brent would go and he'd do his Light Your Hair on Fire. And I don't know if you ever seen him do that talk for agents. It was called Light Your Hair on Fire. And I'm going to tell you, he lit the whole room's hair on fire with his energy. That's what he would come and speak for Mike and Jay at their Exponential Growth Summit. And I was, toward the last 3 years with them, I was speaking as well. So that's how I got to meet Brent. And he's always just a ball of energy, just great person, amazing. But the time I've got to spend with him and some of the other leaders, because of him, I got to hang out with Tony Geary. He's one of the top CEO coaches in the country. $30,000 a day to sit down with this guy. We got to spend an entire day with this amazing human being, which made me think on a whole nother level. And so I don't know. I'm saying that because what you had just said about what you want to do for your team. I mean, I love that energy, and that's one of the things I love being around meeting a lot of the leaders with this company, because they have that mindset, and that's fun.
Yeah, that is very, very awesome. We were just out at the EXP shareholders meeting in Vegas and got a chance to peek in on a couple of the presentations, and I agree. Like, there's guys with big vision, and they're doing what's necessary to bring in the right talent to actually execute it. The last point I wanted to make on just the whole kind of why you switched over and why you're doing this is on the whole, like, the benefits, because the thing about, like, what makes a professional service firm, which is what we're in the real estate business, right? We're a professional service firm. EXP, the reason why a professional service firm is able to expand like what EXP is doing all across the country, and it makes sense, is because at some level it always has to come back to what's best for the client at the end. And the client in this case isn't just the real estate agent. Like, that's who EXP serves, but ultimately they're serving the consumer. And what I like about the EXP model is that they're not just building it to attract agents. They're building it to provide the technology that'll make the consumer experience better, so that joining EXP actually does have a significant impact on the consumer's experience of what it's like to interact with a real estate agent. And that's exactly what should happen. I think that's what gives EXP a better chance long term versus a brokerage that, let's say, just goes out and tries to build a business model that appeals to the agents, like on a financial basis, right? So all the numbers make sense, and that's awesome.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, we actually have to deliver a better service to the consumer. Otherwise, they don't care. Like, they don't care that we make more money. They don't care that we get more coaching and support on how to grow our business. They don't give a crap about any of that. All they care about is, are you serving me better than Century 21 or KW or Remax? And if EXP can deliver on that, and I see them attempting and going down that line of doing that, that's very encouraging to me, because that's the only way EXP has a real, like, sustainable competitive advantage in the marketplace, is they have to be able to deliver a different and better experience to the consumer. So anyway, I think Greg got stuck.
He got bumped off.
He
said he was coming back in, but Matt, I mean, if you were working for any of those firms, by the way, including EXP, and the people had a great experience because of Matt Johnson, because Matt's the one that returned their calls and texts on time. Matt negotiated a great deal because he was better trained. Matt, took care of crossing the T's and dotting the I's and making sure that the biggest investment of their life, he got safely across the finish line. When it comes time for their next transaction, they're not calling KW, EXP, Remax. They're not calling them. They're calling Matt. I almost said they're calling Greg. They might call Greg, but no, they're calling Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's always the
that's just the truth of it. So the question becomes, if you do two things, not just, you're a not discount broker, but you're a broker that just gives all the commission minus maybe a $250 fee per month. If that's not helping solve the problem of lead generation and making sure that the agent has all the tools to serve their clients at a higher level with the training and the coaching, that's the balancing act, to be honest with you. Even as an independent, I couldn't give my agents the amount of training that they can get in this cloud. 5 days a week, they can go in and have live training on how to be a better social media marketer, how to lead gen better, how to serve your clients, what are the latest and greatest tools and all this stuff that's live. I could not do that as an independent. It was impossible. And at least do it profitably or whatever. They figured out how to balance both. Keep as much money in the agent's pocket, give them a slice of the pie so that they have ownership of the company, and at the same time lower their expenses.
Yeah.
And they've nailed it. They nailed the model. So yeah.
So what's the next step for you? I mean, obviously you're bringing people onto your team. You're able to connect with people virtually, and now people can kind of plug into your systems that are not in the Cleveland market. Are you looking to grow like your local team, the people that show up in the office to work with you? Are you strictly focusing on the virtual side? Like, what's the next step?
For me, I believe in this company. I went all in. All my chips are in on this. And the good news is, going into September of 2017, when I joined August 15th. All the guys that we've been talking about, Jay Kinder, Daniel Beer, Kyle Whistle, Jeff Cook, we can go on and on. None of them were here yet. And so I was going in with confidence, but slightly still cautious. Because I honestly was like...
I'm sure you felt a little bit like an explorer.
There
wasn't as much social proof as there is now.
Well, there was, I think, I don't know how long you guys have been with the company, but when did you guys join?
Flipped the switch in January.
Oh, you're okay. So
We're babes.
when I joined there, I believe, don't quote me on this, there was about 3,500 agents in August. Wow. Understand, there's about 3,000 agents right now in the onboarding that have applied that are not officially in yet. We have a line. We have a line. We crossed 10,000 and we have 3,000 in the pipe.
That's incredible.
Just waiting to get in. So I feel good. I feel really good that, because if the opposite would have happened, that would have been obviously terrible.
Right.
I have my broker's license. I would have been open back up in a day, and obviously that wasn't the reason that I did this. I believe in the company, so I'm like I said, I'm all in. Our strategy, if you will, moving forward is to work with people that we love to work with, lead leaders, and help them grow their businesses, and that is on a local level. So right now, yes, we're growing. We're going from 9 agents to 15, 16 right now to 24, 30. But I'm just not going to do it the other way. I want to help build opportunities for other leaders and help them build, because that's, in scaling that way, it's more fun and it's better experience for the agents too, because we only have so much time. So that's my vision for it. I'm going to let it grow, as it grows. I don't, you asked me what a goal is. I mean, I don't know that I really have. I mean, we're going to blow through. Our goal was to have like 24 agents by the end of this year. That goal will be blown out of the water. So it's not even like about that at this point. I just want to have fun every day, wake up with a smile, spend time with the kids. That's really my goal.
The business can beat you up and spit you out and everything else. And I was listening to you as my computer was being a dipshit and kicked me off, but I'm now back, thank God. Stupid internet. But you're talking about the training and coaching and everything else, and how much there is out there, and they have the EXP University that's in the mix right now. How awesome that's going to be! It's going to be literally written like a college courses, 100s, 200s, 300s, 400s. So agents that are just starting out, they can go and get education. How do you write a contract? How do you do a listing presentation? How do you do a buyer consult? And you can go 1 through 4 from freshman to senior. Yeah. In these different awesome opportunities, you can go talk to people. Brad, like Anderson, he does 2 jobs: train you and get you leads and get you to cap. I mean, they are seriously vested 100% into getting you successful. And I mean, Al, you've been in the business for a while. I've been in the business for a while. Matt's been around the business for a while and was in the business. When I went to the EXP shareholders, it was the first time I sat in a real estate convention for a company where the leadership was legitimately asking for support and information from the agents in the company. They're sitting there going, hey guys, tell us what we can do better. Help us help you. Give us your input. We want to make it the best it can possibly be. It'll never be perfect, but we want to do the best we possibly can. I'm like, these guys don't need to listen to us. They don't, but they want to. Yeah. And the camaraderie of everyone together, everyone like, dude, Al, you literally started clapping when I told you what I want to do in 5 years. That never happens in other brokerages. They're so protective of themselves. They just want to protect their little piece of the earth. But you're like, dude, yeah, baby, go for the gold, Air 5, you know. Man. I mean, that makes me want to support you in anything I can do for you, and it just makes the whole company a better place to be. I haven't met one jerk off yet. Well, I met one in the company, but you know what? It was a misunderstanding.
1 out of 10,000. That's pretty good odds.
We're good.
We have people with bats on the way to his house right now, so don't.
I'm not trying to pay attention to what you said, but I grabbed my book that I got from shareholders, where I was taking the notes from what Glenn was talking about, where he doesn't believe in a hierarchy. I mean, that's where you were going, Greg. He believed in something else, and I wrote it down. It was called like a something archy, where everyone was on an equal playing ground, which means we engaged each other. We policed each other. They didn't make decisions from the top down. It came from bottom up.
Yep, dude. Jason Gessings, our CEO, Matt and I, he wanted to meet us as soon as we came on, and so we're talking with him, and I was just joking, and I'm like, well, they gotta listen to you. You're the boss, and he flipped around like, no, it's not how we run it. I'm like, shit, sorry, dude. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no, they don't like that boss term. I'll think of the name of the archy. I don't know. Someone might know. If you know what we're talking about. I actually did Google it and looked it all up, but I thought I wrote it down. But that's Glenn's vision. Is it's a different vision than anything I've ever seen. I love the people they have in leadership. By the way,
yeah,
Vicky Bartholomew, dude, amazing A player. Jason, amazing A player. I genuinely love spending time with these people.
And they're accessible. I mean, I had a call with Vicky yesterday. Our sponsor, Hank, he calls me up like, dude, you cool, bro? Because, when you talk to Vicky, either you're in deep shit or getting into deep shit. I'm like, no, dude, I just want to talk to her about how to do recruiting the best way possible so I can get the most people into my team the shortest amount of time and still be company culture.
Hank Avick?
Yeah.
Ah, love Hank.
Dude, he's a cool dude, man.
Small world.
Cool.
Yeah,
dude.
I took my whole team through his 36 to life deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude,
that's
insane.
Amazing.
I was coaching with him
that's
on
fantastic.
That. And even when I was coaching alongside with him on that, I still had my yellow pad out and I was taking notes. I'm like, can I write that down? Make a note of this. And isn't that the new thing? And I'm like, good Lord. But he has 2 new programs, like 24 to Live and 12 to Thrive. I don't know. He was talking about them, but they're pretty cool things. They're for newer agents. And if you guys don't know who Coach Hank is, go look him up. And you'll know him because he wears orange all the time. I mean, he probably has orange boxers. I mean, he loves his orange.
Backwards hat.
We can only speculate. Thank God. All right, Al, let us know where you're at so we can keep you in mind for anyone that's not watching and can't see the giant sign over your right shoulder.
I know it's probably backwards, right? Coming
No.
into the thing.
No,
Oh,
it's good.
is it right?
It's
Oh,
good.
okay.
Flips it
Cleveland.
around for us.
Okay, Cleveland, Ohio. Yep. We're up here. Me and LeBron James. We're about to hang out after the game today
Uh-huh.
because we're gonna win this time. Sorry, Jeff Willems. But yeah, we're up in Cleveland. We serve the suburbs on the west side of Cleveland. We have partners all around the whole horseshoe, we call it, of actual Cleveland proper. About to bring a team down in the city area as well to serve anyone who's interested in living in the city areas. And so we can basically help you anywhere in the area. But I specifically live in the Bay Village area, which is Bay Village, Westlake. It's a suburb of Cleveland, and we love Cleveland. We love everything Cleveland. The people here are great. But the people of EXP have opened my eyes up to another level of love, and it's been an amazing. I mean, Hank. The reason I lit up with Hank is because I never knew Hank until Jackie Bowman actually introduced me to him because she coaches for him. Yep. And Jackie's a buddy of mine. We started YPN in Cleveland together.
No kidding.
And so she introduced me to Hank. And I'm not going to get into the details of why I needed to call Hank, but it was completely, random, whatever. We're not in each other's organization at all, so whatever. But, like, that guy just picked the phone up, selfless, helped me in a tough situation I had going with an employee. I just, needed to bounce something off him. And, I mean, the guy was just rock solid, great dude. But, I mean, that's what I'm seeing. I'm only bringing Hank up, but there's a ton of other people that I'm meeting. And I didn't have that kind of interaction. When I was independent, I was on my own island, other than my NAEA Mike and Jay peeps, which I was grateful for. This just kind of expanded our horizons with relationships, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, you really. I mean, and we're not just blowing smoke up each other's skirts because we like how it feels. I mean, we're honestly excited about this because this is something that we've never seen in other companies. So, I mean,
Mistake on the lake.
Paul Franklin is watching, and he says it's so true. Everyone is so great. The day after I joined, I got a call from a seasoned agent on the other side of the state just to congratulate me on my decision, which that's awesome. We did not put anybody up to that, so it had nothing to do with us. We're super pumped to have Paul on board with us, and it's awesome that somebody actually reached out just to congratulate him on that move, just because they happen to be in the EXP family. So. Al, what's the best way for people to reach out if they do have a referral in your area? We talked a little bit about the lock school and stuff like that. Just on the real estate side, how do they contact you? And then on
Facebook, message me on Facebook. Anybody seeing this is obviously on Facebook. So I just find the best way that I'm going to see the message and be able to reply to it as fast as possible is friend me on Facebook. My code name is Albie. ALBIE.
Code name.
That was really just my childhood name that everyone called me. My parents nicknamed me that, and my closest friends called me that. And then I switched it to Al because when I got my license, I was 25, but I looked like I was 17, and I couldn't even grow a beard at all. I couldn't even grow one hair on my face, so I was trying to look older, and Al's kind of an older name, so I went with that. But then when I got old, I decided to switch it back to Albie because wanted to feel younger.
That's awesome.
Just being open and real.
So
That's why I love your podcast. Is great.
10 years off your face.
So basically, you're telling me that you're having a midlife crisis with your name? Like, yeah. No, I want to feel young again.
I don't know what next year. You don't even know what I'm going to be. I could pick
a random new name. Yeah, it'd be great.
My middle name is Matthew, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Albert Matthew. My son's name is Matthew too. So.
Oh, nice.
I knew I'd like you already.
Yeah. Nobody calls me Matthew, but yeah, I do like my parents are smart. They initially were going to name me Jeremiah, and then the song Jeremiah the Bullfrog came out the summer before I was born. They're like, no, I gotta pick something cooler. All right. So Greg, how do people reach out to you and talk about joining and linking arms with us?
Hey guys, I want you to go to bookmcdaniel.com, and that's where you guys are going to be able to go get 30 minutes, see if the EXP, our team, is the right place, the right fit. If you like the content, if you like what you're hearing about, just kind of how excited we all are about this company, reach out to me. Do it right now. Go book 30 minutes. There's nothing wrong. I'm not going to browbeat you or put you under hypnosis and make you join the team. If it's something that you like and it's good for you and you like the culture, dude, just hit me up. We'll chat. We'll have some fun. We'll get to know each other, and we'll see if it's the right fit. And if it's not, dude, I will smack you on your butt and wish you the best of luck and watch you walk away. I don't care. But if you want to join our crew, our tribe, become one of our peoples, man, hit me up. Again, that's bookmcdaniel.com. So that's where you go get that stuff. Johnson Face, what do you have for them?
Well, you guys should go to rockstarlivevideo.com. That is the Facebook Live training. So we're on Facebook Live right now. So if you want to learn how to do this for your own real estate practice, to connect directly with your database of buyers and sellers and connect and stay up in touch with the people that are in your world, and you don't know quite how to do that, that's what the training will give you. So we'll show you exactly how Greg does his Facebook Lives, to do everything from open houses to, preview new listings, just kind of share his every day with folks on Facebook, and build your connection and stay in touch with your database. So go to rockstarlivevideo.com. That's 100% free. That's the main thing I have for them. So how about we put a nice blue and orange bow on this particular show, Greg?
I think that would be a great idea, Matt. What I'm going to do is I'm doing a little bit of Instagramming as we're doing this, so I can add to my story, so I can do more of this social media stuff. But I like the blue and orange. Thumbs up to everybody. Al,
Yes.
dude, seriously, man, really loved you on the show. Love for you to come back.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
You crushed it for us, and I know everyone's listening got a lot of value out of it. So thank you for having us back on your show.
You're welcome, and I'm going to have you on again if that's okay.
We would love to be back on your show, Al.
You guys are awesome. I had a blast. I don't think I've had this much fun since I think me and Kinder may have had a little bit of fun on a couple.
I believe
podcasts. We started a little bit of trouble.
This is as much fun as you can have without having a tumbler of scotch or Jack with you.
Yeah. Well, next time it's going to be Jack, tattoos, and long hair stories.
That's right, exactly. Yes. We'll do that on a Friday. It'll be a fun Friday episode.
Bad Decision Podcast, brought to you by Real Estate Uncensored.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, I love you guys to pieces. We truly love you. That's why we keep making the show. We've done it for over 3 years. We're going to keep doing this, guys. Just share this if this was something helpful. If you think someone else needs to hear this podcast, please go out and share it. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review, and follow me, follow Matt, follow Al on Facebook. Turn all your notifications to see first, so that you get notified when we all do our live shows. But until then, guys, peace out, ninjas. We gone.